Okay, alright, awesome. Good evening, you filthy internet savages. It is, let me see here, Monday, March 24th, 2025. We are going to go ahead and check out what is happening out in the world. Okay, I have not seen this video yet, but I have seen this week's episode of Bill Maher. He essentially warns that due to people fleeing from Democrat-run states to Republican-run states, that the Democrats are going to lose a bunch of seats.
Desperate Democratic Party to move even further left, as if that's the answer. Top Democrats tell Axios the party is in its deepest hole in nearly 50 years, and they list out like 12 reasons for that. And they fear it will only get worse as time goes on. So who's the new Democratic savior this week? Bring in Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's been increasingly discussed.
Nope. No, the Democrats are not going to retake power with a radical. They need to find a center, and they need to rally around that center. If they cannot do that, they will not be successful anytime soon.
Discussed as a leading star of the party, even among centrists, interestingly. And now the New York Times is naming AOC as a potential 2028 presidential contender.
Be a terrible choice.
Democrats are doubling down on their progressive policies that lost them the White House and Congress. That's the big picture here. And they're looking for a leader to encapsulate that. Quote, though there is little disagreement about who will emerge to guide progressives into a post-Sanders era, virtually everyone interviewed said there was one clear.
Funny enough, I think the only 2028 Democratic ticket that has any fucking oomph to it whatsoever would be Fetterman Shapiro. Who else they got? Who the fuck else they got? Gavin Newsom fucking sucks. Who else they got? They got no one.
Leader for the job, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. You know, Sandra, I want to bring up this picture, and it is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez kind of languishing away at the border. This was during Trump era 1.0. And she's in this beautiful white outfit, and she's protesting, and it was very dramatic. And the country is just a long way.
Who cries like that? Look at the way this woman is crying. This isn't. Look at this. Dude, she has her face buried in her hands like a child. Who cries like that in real life? What grown adult human cries like that? Insane. So performative.
From that image and that moment, encapsulated by this Washington Post headline. I mean, this is WAPO. I never thought I'd see a headline like this. Trump's migrant roundups have a crucial ally, public opinion. And they note there 89% support deporting criminals, 62% support deporting non-violent criminals. We're a long way from that kind of progressivism.
A lot that Mark Penn said the other day stuck out to me about looking at the Democratic Party and making the same mistakes that they did of yesteryear, and it's not standing for something. In fact, I thought his advice to his party was really instructive. He said, make up a list of things you really want, and a list of things that you're willing to cooperate with. Are you willing to cooperate with closing the border? Bringing up that picture made me think of that. Or was it all a ruse, and you're really for an open border? Are you willing to cooperate with reducing the size of government and the deficit? Forces them into the Doge situation. Are you for it, or are you against it? Do you have things that you want, like climate change, inflation, helping working people that you could...
Okay. Yeah, she's bringing up a great point, because right now, anything that Trump is doing, anything that Musk is doing, anything that anyone on the right is doing, liberals are just, there's no common sense. It could be something like, okay, well, we're literally eliminating fraud, and it's like, well, we don't like how you're eliminating fraud. It's like, no, stop it. You are such a fake, weird creature. You dislike fraud. Why are you trying to be on fraud side? You know, and it's like, but the only person who's been super reasonable about hearing about and giving it a chance has actually been John Fetterman, which is crazy that the stroke victim is the most reasonable Democrat. But good on him. Good on him.
can put forth to do a compromise. And I think Democrats would behoove themselves if they took a good hard look and asked themselves that question. But he was very firm in his warning to his party. If AOC were to come in with a challenge here, he said every moderate that is left, any moderate, I should say, that is left in that party is going to flee. And this is going to be a party no
100%.
more because they just can't
win with a radical.
Further to the left based on what we have seen with recent elections.
Yeah, Paul, here's the quagmire. The Democratic base is spoiling for a fight. And we have an NBC poll that reflects that 65% say they would rather not see the party get things done and stick to their guns, even if it means just gridlock in Washington. And that's versus 32%. That's Democrats. But when you broaden it out, 50%, majority of the country essentially say congressional Democrats are too critical of Trump. So you have this disconnect. You've got to please the 34,000 people showing up to a Sanders AOC rally, but you don't want to lose the middle.
Yeah, I think, they're misreading the room here, and they're misreading where the fault line is on the left. Right now, the schism is between the hyper-progressives and this more traditional moderates. So, sure, you can get 30,000 people on the mall in Washington, D.C., because that's blue Washington, right? That's progressive Washington.
Yeah, so, and the dumbest kind of person is going to look at this and be like, okay, well, it's on the other side, too. And it's like, okay. The thing is, there are radical Republicans. There are. Marjorie Taylor Greene, great example. That's why they don't let that talk. Okay, that's why Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't have a seat at the table, because we know she's a lunatic. All right? The Democrats don't do that. They just keep their lunatics out and about. Their lunatics are very loud and poignant, and it makes you lose track of the people who are like actually able to compromise and work on bipartisan stuff. It's insane. The Democrats really have shot themselves in the foot by not cracking down on the radicals in their party. They really have.
And that was a swamp class picture, is what that was, okay? But, okay, sure, you can get it there. But are there no lessons to be learned from the recent election where all the traditional Democratic voting blocs moved to the right? And what Donald Trump really did is he managed to capture a lot of the traditional Democratic blue-collar workers. The reason why he did so well in Michigan, the tariffs are going to help that, because this is one of the things that the Democrats have been asking for a long time, which we need to bring back manufacturing. Now, reasonable minds can disagree on tariffs, but the bottom line is he wants to bring the manufacturing here. And just coming up with bumper sticker campaigns like Fight the Oligarchy. If you went into that crowd and said specifically, what is the oligarchy? What are you fighting? Who's the oligarchy that you're really concerned? How does it affect your life? You're going to get blank stares. It doesn't compel. And last thing real quick, we know AOC in this city here in New York. This is the person who killed the Amazon jobs who were coming in here. She was part of that cadre that killed thousands of good jobs. Number two, she was the Duchess of Defund. So these are all things that have gone way down the tank here that nobody wants, and those are her legacy. Who they should be listening to is Fetterman. That's a different story.
Wow, who said it?
Marie and people like Alyssa Slotkin. So your party puts up.
I fucking said it. Fuck, Fetterman's actually pretty tight. He's a cool guy on the cool.
Up as the State of the Union response, Alyssa Slotkin, who outperformed Kamala in a ton of places. But then when you look at the map, you've got a tough 2026 Senate map. You have only 2 Republicans in districts that Kamala won versus 23 last time around in Trump administration and Hillary districts. So what do you do? How do you thread the needle? Your party wants someone like Alyssa Slotkin, but the only person getting double digits as party leader is AOC.
I think the party actually understands there's a place for both. The Alyssa Slotkins, Josh Shapiro's, Wes Moores of the world, they are winning in states that matter, right? They are putting forward a moderate view of how to grow the middle class. By the way, it's not tariffs. As tariffs start to really impact the middle class, voters in states like Michigan that are incredibly impacted by trade with Canada are going to be really mad at Donald Trump. But AOC is getting tens of thousands of people at these rallies, and there are some early signs that Republicans are in a little bit of trouble. First, we've seen all of these Republican town halls.
The Democrat town halls are crazy.
Let me finish. And then, for example, in a seat like Mike Waltz's seat, his open seat in Florida, the Democrat has raised $9 million, and the Republican has raised under $1 million. Republicans in Congress now that I'm talking to are worried that they are going to either lose that seat or it's going to be very close. So there's a lot of discontent right now.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I've been keeping a pretty close eye on it since the election. There is this huge rumor going around that Republicans and pretty much anyone who voted for Trump now regrets it. And I have seen the polar opposite. I think people who voted for Trump are psyched. That dude has signed like 100 executive orders. He is doing stuff every day. You might not like the stuff he's doing, but Republicans who voted for him love that he's doing it. Just today, we got a $20 billion investment from Hyundai, the car manufacturer. Like he said he was going to fix the economy, and he has all these companies coming in and investing. I was pleasantly surprised the other day because I went grocery shopping, and egg prices are down. And your boy's trying to do low carb, so that matters a lot. Yeah, it's insane. There's like this belief that like all the Republicans are worried or scared or regret their decision, and I have not seen even a little bit of that. Like every single thing I've seen out of the right is pretty optimistic and happy about the way things are going
now in the country in general. But what I am hearing is that average voters whose prices haven't gone down, who are worried about tariffs, whose friends are losing their job, look at the richest man in the world, look at this billionaire cabinet, and they think Donald Trump said he was going to make my life better. It's not. It's worse. And AOC and other Democrats are actually putting forward an economic vision for the middle class. And we can talk about everything from middle class tax cuts, not tax cuts for the wealthy. I mean, look at Kamala Harris's platform, quite frankly. Housing.
Which didn't work. How did that work out? 80 million votes for Trump, nearly.
Kamala Harris did not have a real platform, and I cannot be convinced otherwise. Kamala Harris put forth so little of a picture of what she wanted for America. Her number one campaign slogan was like, if Trump is elected, women's rights will go away, which is hilarious because Trump has not said a single thing about abortion since getting elected, right? And then also he's probably done more to protect women's rights than the last several Democratic presidents. Now women have women's sports again. Trump did that. A liberal didn't do that. No, liberals will sacrifice women's sports in the name of respecting women. Oh, those goobers. All right.
But this is the thing. When voters in the middle class see that Trump's policies are not working for them, and they are not, and Democrats can, the midterm, Republicans, downplay this opposition at their own peril. I lived through the Obamacare town halls. When you start counseling town halls,
but the talking point about town halls, I'm sorry, is nullified.
Kaylee.
Glenn Ivey had a town hall.
Just wait until next November.
I'll send you the footage. We played it on this show last week. Glenn Ivey's in a deep blue district. He held a town hall. He was shouted down.
Because they want him to be more progressive and more anti-Trump.
And he was saying Chuck Schumer should step down, but that wasn't progressive
for
enough.
a different reason than Republicans are being shouted down.
It's interestingly, and we're gathering the footage actually for this show of all the town halls. It's not just deep blue Virginia. It's elsewhere in the country as well. Kaylee McGee-White, someone who disagrees with Marie Harf, is Bill Maher. He thinks Democrats have not hit the bottom yet. Watch this.
This is really bad news for Democrats. 2030 reapportionment, there's a group called the American Redistricting Project, and in 5 years we will be redistricting. California is projected to lose 3 seats, New York 2, also going to lose a seat, Minnesota, Oregon, Rhode Island, Illinois, all blue states. Who's getting these? Texas, Florida, Idaho, and Utah. I mean, this looks like game over.
Game over, Kaylee.
And this is the political reality that Democrats don't want to face. And look, we can talk about how there's a lot of anger among the Democratic base in particular, but the fact is that rage and resentment is not a winning agenda. And when
they haven't had an agenda. I'm going to say this again, and a lot of right-wing people probably wouldn't agree with me. But I think even if you are a complete right-wing fanatic I think you should still want the Democratic Party to be relatively strong. right? Because if you lose in a two-party country, who would you rather lose to? Would you rather lose to a weak, weird, radical left-wing agenda, or would you rather lose to some pretty reasonable people that you just disagree with on a few core issues? You know, I wish the Democratic Party were stronger right now, but they are doing fucking awfully. They do not have a respectable platform, and they are not focused on respectable candidates, right? They're not working with what they have, and they're trying to force crazy things like how do you not see the Kamala Harris loss and think, yeah, AOC is just a spinoff of that? Like they have to start taking this seriously. They really do.
Look, Trump. He was not selling rage and resentment. He was selling an agenda that works for the working class and actually betters the lives of all Americans, which, by the way, his economic agenda did a great job during his first term. I don't hear any Democrats raising that point. And I'll just say, you know, Democrats think that they can change the perception of their party without changing the actual policies that led to the negative perception in the first place. You cannot run someone like AOC or Bernie Sanders on a national scale. And I say this as someone who is from one of those critical swing states back in my home state of Michigan. If you think Kamala Harris did poorly, just wait until you run AOC, who is very comfortable in her D+28 advantage New York district in the swing state of Michigan. It will never work. The party has to go back to the center, and you deny that at your own peril.
Can I just finish one this talking point about prices coming down in 2 months?
That was 2 months.
From the record highs that were set under the previous
day one.
I think it's only pushing the fact that prices were run up so much under a Democratic administration, and oil and gas prices and energy prices and electricity prices have come down. So I think you have to let these policies have a chance, because once you have lower energy prices work through a system, that can eventually lead to lower prices. But 2 months that's pretty quick.
We'll see. 2 months, and there's still plurality support for tariffs.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered.
Yeah, see, they always pick the worst ones. CNN, that white Republican dude on CNN is pretty smart, but it's funny because you'll see like Fox will have one liberal, and it won't be a good liberal. You know, every show, to be politically balanced, they have to have one person from the other party that they just beat up on. I get a lot of joy out of that. I don't know. I see your bias loud and clear, but I do think it's funny that you guys have a punching bag. Oh man, crazy. Yeah.